Greetings explorers! Welcome to Crafting Basics, saddle stitching. For this video we're going to go over the general idea of saddle stitching, a pretty cool stitch that makes a continuous line. For this part you'll need a needle, thread or artificial sinew, a punch to put holes in your leather, and some leather to practice on. So, step 1. Punch the holes into the leather you wish to stitch together, whether it's practice leather or an actual project. Make sure you have the same number of holes in the pieces you want to sew together, and that they're about the same distance apart. If they aren't, don't worry, you can punch missing holes or adjust your stitch around extra ones. After that, measure out string that is 3 times the length of your holes. This doesn't have to be exact, but go for a little extra string if you find your estimate is a little off. From here, we can dive into the stitch. The general idea of the saddle stitch is there is a lot of in and out. You start off by threading your needle, or needles, by putting only the tip through the opening of the needle. You do not tie. Next, you go to your starting hole and pull the string halfway through. Here's where the in and out starts. If you're using 2 needles, you take turns going in and out of the holes all the way to the end of your holes. With 1 needle, you may end up stitching sections of the seam before swapping to the other side. The other thing to keep in mind, depending on your project, is you're going to need a lot of patience. As with sewing anything, whether by hand or not, you're going to need the patience for when something goes wrong, or even for the length of time required to stitch something together. If you find something does go wrong, you stitch through your string, or maybe you sewed the wrong section. Just relax. Worst case, you start over in sewing. It may be painful, but it could save you time and even greater pain if you were to attempt to salvage something that is unsalvageable. In other scenarios, you snip the part that's causing you trouble, move back a bit in the stitch, and start up again with new thread. The last bit we care about with the saddle stitch is making sure it doesn't come undone. If you have lots of extra string and are using artificial sinew, you can sew back a few holes using the string's stickiness and the tight fit for the strings to your advantage. Beware, this method could come undone with time. The next methods are knotting. The first way is to end early or sew back one hole with one of your string's halves, that way both halves end up on the same side. Then perform at least a double knot. Feel free if you want to triple knot, quadruple knot, or however many times you want to knot your string together to make sure that it does not come undone. The second knotting method is to tie the knot in between the 2 pieces of leather you are sewing together. When you are on the last hole for both halves, don't push them all the way through. Push them to the middle of the leather pieces, then together in at least a double knot. Note, This second knotting style may not be doable with all projects, but does hide the knot nicely, especially with trimming off any excess string. And that concludes this Crafting Basics video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one, as well as our bigger leathercraft projects. Our leathercraft projects occur once a month on Saturday, so hit that bell icon if you want to get notified when a project is posted. Until then, happy crafting! Bye guys!